Hey, it's David Pingree. We're out here at Glen Helen Raceway today with the 2019 KTM SX 450F. It's the first time riding this thing for us this year. A solid bike. We did ride the 2018 and a half factory edition, which is essentially what this bike is. Some of those changes, there are some things that are different from that model. Big changes here, new valving in the fork end shock. That are working in conjunction with frame changes to add some torsional rigidity, keep the flex characteristic where they want it, but firm it up where they want it as well. Stiffer top triple clamp that goes along with those changes really helps the feel of the bike. They've extended the swing arm a little bit just to give you a longer range of adjustment. So some of those things just all kind of working together to help the bike handle a little better. As far as the engine goes, all new Pingree transmission. Outer cases are the same. They just went to Pingree is owned by the same person who owns KTM. It's a very high quality component used in a lot of F1 cars and things like that. So just really high quality products. So they've added those into all the KTM models starting this year. So it's more of a reliability issue, just top of the line quality stuff. The head is a little bit different this year. It's reduced in weight. It's actually a little bit lower profile, different shapes on the inside of that as well. And that goes along with new mapping. There's two maps on here, regular and aggressive, with or without traction control. So it kind of gives you 4 different settings. And a lot of little changes like that. The tank, some of the body work's different, but a little bit grippier seat cover, changes like that. It's got the standard stuff that you come to expect from KTM as well, the Brembo brakes and hydraulic clutch, electric start, ODI lock-on grips, all those little things. So we're going to go out and get a good first impression of this thing here, and we'll get back to you with our thoughts. All right, well, our first impression of the KTM 450 here, really solid bike. We kind of had an idea of what it was going to feel like just based on our factory edition model last year. And there are subtle changes this year on this bike from that. Some valving stuff, some of the mapping is slightly different, but it's very subtle. Some of the changes we made that continue to be kind of standards. 105 on your sag. You know, I softened the stuff up for me a little bit, and I got it to work just fine. You know, there's not a whole lot of adjustment that needs to be done in stock trim on this bike, which is great. Right away, the brakes are great, the clutch is great, basic positioning on the bike is great. It feels comfortable. Bars are a touch wide for me. I'll cut a ½ inch off either side just to sort of get comfortable, but that's all personal preference stuff. The motor's really strong. I ran through the maps today, and you know, there's 1 and 2, a standard and an aggressive. And then you got traction control that you can put on or off with either of those. And honestly, you just really need to play with those because it's all track dependent. Some days I like the standard map better if it's really tacky dirt. And if it's sandy or soft, I like the aggressive map. And if it's a little of both, like today at Glen Helen, we got the big hills and some sandy sections where I want that power to rev up a little quicker and kind of come on a little stronger. But there's slick spots. So I put the traction control on the aggressive map, and it's like the best of both worlds for me. Just keeps the back wheel from lighting up when you hit something that's really slick. Anyway, mess with those traction control settings because based on your track, it's going to change what you like, and you got to get comfortable being able to go from map 1 to 2, traction control on and off, and learning when it's appropriate to put those on. Great tool right there. It really gives you a lot of versatility as far as how you want your power to be delivered. So you just have to understand how to use it. Same with the, you know, the launch control and things like that. When we have those, you just got to get comfortable with them. So again, I went from 153 pounds, which is kind of the standard, to 150 in my fork today. Just a little bit softer, and I opened up my compression a few clicks, did the same thing on the shock, and that got me pretty comfortable right away. I think in a perfect world, I'd probably throw a spring conversion kit in, but that's my personal preference. I love the tires on this bike. Comes with the Dunlops, great setup. The engine is strong as always, whatever changes they made in that head and with the mapping. It's a really fun power. It comes on great throttle response, and it's exciting enough that you don't wait for it to come on, but the power is just very linear, and it pulls strong and hard and really far. So it's a great engine package. Don't really notice much of the grip or seat. The ODI lock-on grips are good, no issues there. And a lot of the little changes that they made in the frame, they're subtle. So I'd have to really go back to back with last year's bike to feel those out here in one day. But it does feel like a comfortable bike. I don't have any trouble getting it to turn. We did something just to pay attention to. When I took off, the bars felt okay, and then they got really loose after it broke in. Everything kind of seated up here, and the steering stem got really loose, and so my front end was feeling nervous. And I think this happens on a lot of bikes. You know, it'll feel good when you bring it home from the dealership. After a ride or two, this thing gets really loose. Just tighten it up. Be sure you loosen your top two triple clamp bolts. Loosen this up, tighten it down, and get it to where it's, you don't need it to be hard to turn, but just so that it's not falling over really freely and being too loose, because that'll give you a really nervous front end feel. Just tightening up a touch will stabilize your bike a really big amount, and it's a huge help. So all in all, I love this thing. Really good bike. The last few years, this has been top of the class, and it'll be up near there again this year, I'm sure. Can't go wrong with this thing. The new Pingree transmission, smooth as butter, had no shifting issues, which I didn't expect. You know, not a lot to complain about this thing. You will like it. Stay tuned. We're going to have a dialed-in video and go over some specific settings on this thing, what we tried, what we like, kind of help get you squared away if you picked up one of these. They're available at your KTM dealers now. Check them out. Thanks for watching.